Comrades At War.
Before that, it's 1983 and the Labour Party need a new image to pull them out of the wilderness years.
On the 1st of October 1983, Neil Kinnock was elected leader of the Labour Party. Kinnock and his wife offered a fresh image for a party which was still reeling from a crushing election defeat that year. Here at last, it seemed, was the hope of a new start for Labour and an end to the years of civil war.
The day that I was elected leader of the Labour Party was a day that mixed a certain amount of excitement with a disproportionate amount of fear for me. First of all, I had the short-term alarm at having to get up and make a brief speech for which I had made no preparation whatsoever. And then secondly, there was this great Alp to climb. Our standing in the polls at that time was 24%. And so it was essential to manifest enthusiasm and to say thanks to my friends and to Glenys and everybody else. But deep down, right inside my stomach, I had great pterodactyls flapping. I mean, I was terrified.
I'll never forget the moment he went up to the platform at the 1983 party conference to make his acceptance speech to the conference. He'd been working on it for a day and a half beforehand, very tense about getting it right. And the idea he hadn't worked on it was ludicrous. But he turned to me and said to me, grabbed me by the lapels and said, Charles, today of all days I've got nothing to say to the conference. And he felt that. He felt that he had nothing to say to them. Then, of course, he delivered a speech which was magnificent.
Just remember, all times in all temptations, how you, each and every single one of you sitting in this hall, each and every Labour worker watching this conference, each and every Labour voter, yes, and some other ones as well, remember how you felt on that dreadful morning of June the 10th. Just remember how you felt then and think to yourselves, June the 9th, 1983, never, ever again will we experience that.
Roy Hattersley was Labour's choice as deputy. The party's left had made peace with the right to create the so-called Dream Ticket. In 1983, Kinnock was regarded as a man of the left, but his leadership would take him far from the radical socialism of his youth.
What is clear about Neil's leadership is, one, that had he not held these views on Europe, on public ownership, on defence, he would not have been elected leader. Two, since he held those views, he could not be made Prime Minister. Third, if he changed those views, whatever the reason, he was going to be accused of cutting his cloth in order to wear a suit which won him the election. From the moment he became leader, those views almost condemned him to lose the election, either A, because he held the views, or B, because he changed his mind. It was a very unhappy situation for him to be in.
Neil was not a man who was short of ideas. This was the tragedy, in a sense. And if Neil had only been allowed to develop his own ideas and to express them, as I think he could have done, he was the best platform orator in the country on his day, then I think he could have provided tremendous political leadership. I don't say he was perfect. I mean, Neil had many faults, but I think he was persuaded into a strategy, both personal and political, which didn't allow him to play to his own strengths.
Well, I think he was elected by the parliamentary party as a man with a reputation on the left in order to deal with the left. If you have left credentials, you have to prove for the rest of your life that you're no longer a part of that. You have then to accommodate to the right. I mean, that is a fact of politics, of Labour politics in particular.
Neil Kinnock was the son of a miner from the Welsh valleys, and in the years before he became leader, he presented himself as the spiritual heir to the great Welsh radical Aneurin Bevan. He argued against Britain's membership of the Common Market. He supported CND, and he'd backed Tony Benn's campaign for change in the Labour Party.
Neil Kinnock hadn't had time at that stage to mature politically. And the views that he then expressed were the fashionable views of the soft stroke hard left. So he was against nuclear weapons, in favour of unilateral nuclear disarmament. The whole Bennite rigmarole of doctrines was embraced by Neil Kinnock. But they weren't really what he had thought himself through to believing. And the following decade almost of Kinnock's leadership is a gradual unravelling of these old positions which he had so easily adopted and which were so popular then in the Labour Party.
Before he became leader, Neil Kinnock had always been popular with journalists. He was affable and unpretentious, and always good for a quote or a story.
Tell you what, do you want a real story? Go on then. I'll walk on the water. How about that?
I personally think there was a need to try and plant Kinnock as a statesman-type person in the voters' minds, because the tabloids in particular, and some of the things that he did himself, had planted him in the minds of the electorate as something less than a statesman. When you look back, it's quite funny. You see the video of Neil and Glenys falling over on the beach at the party conference. And I thought at the time, what a nice thing, what a human thing to happen. Yet I could never imagine Tony Blair falling over on the beach with his wife.
Well, when he first became leader, he was very, very witty, very funny, very exuberant, bubbling over, and very spontaneous. And I remember we'd take him to, photo calls and things. And on one occasion, he picked up somebody's umbrella and he started singing.
La, 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 la. That's all we singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
And the Daily Mirror ran that photograph on the front page the next day, which we were less than thrilled about.
Happy again.
I got crucified. And it didn't matter to me very much, but it damaged the movement. It damaged the cause. And I thought, well, not dancing in the street and singing funny songs is not much of a sacrifice to make for the advance of the labour movement. So I did become more constrained after that.
Kinnock's new role demanded more than the ability to mingle with the party faithful. In an effort to make himself appear more dignified, he turned to a group of young men and women from outside the party machine.
I think it's important to bear in mind that we certainly felt, and some think we were overly nervous about this, that the media in general was very hostile to Labour and hostile to Neil in particular, and that pictures, for example, of him swigging that beer would be used and transmitted very widely throughout the country. And indeed, when they occurred, they were. And so we sought to avoid situations where those types of pictures would arise.
Neil Kinnock had easy charm on the hustings.
Nice to see you. I'm sorry to lump you with all this.
It's all right.
And you?
And during the '83 election campaign, he'd been happy to use photo opportunities to promote his own career.
Okay, go on then. There you go. Are you going to sit back there?
But his seemingly effortless rise aroused suspicions among some of his colleagues.
Well, he was young, largely untried, seen perhaps as slightly opportunistic, I would guess, seen as very ambitious.
Okay, you're going to shake hands, you're going to kiss with me.
And I think, therefore, there was a feeling on the right, which never disappeared, that Neil had somehow got the leadership undeservedly, or had fluked it in some way, and wasn't really up to it. And that persisted in various forms throughout Neil's leadership, I think.
Neil was what you might